get our game faces on, George.
Yep.
All right, it's 6 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Could I have adoption of the agenda? Any additions or deletions?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The next is we're going to pause to seek guidance. Would you please bow your heads? Okay. And the next is the reading of our mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs while preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. There are no presentations or delegations tonight. So the next is the approval of the minutes. The first set of minutes what we will be looking at is April 27th, 2015. Is there any errors or omissions?
I'll move for the adoption of the minutes of April 27th.
Seconded.
Is everyone happy? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. I wouldn't do business arising or old business at the moment. I'm going to go to the second set of minutes first, okay? The next is the special council minutes of May the 11th, 2015.
I move acceptance of the minutes for the special council meeting.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The next is old business arising, and it's road name change.
Okay. I brought it forward again. We would like to just look at changing the road name from Highway 1 to Bloomfield, where it cuts across. It's still, as far as we're concerned, a safety issue for us. And so I brought it forward, and I know that it's not usually what happens, breaking up a road with two names, but for an example, as you go leave Digby up the Ridge Road, Beechwood comes out on the right-hand side, cuts across. On the other side, it's called Francis Drive. So there is precedent there, and I'm sure there's other places, but we didn't drive all over the county looking for them, all over the district looking for them, but that one was one that we did see. So I will excuse myself,
Okay.
unless anybody has any questions.
You have heard her request for road name change. She also said there's a precedent already. I'm going to ask the CAO.
The precedent would be, she's referring to roads that were existing at the time of the road name changing policy. But the purpose of the policy was to avoid that type of situation from happening again. So so it's in our policy that the continuity of a road name has to be a criteria. A road running in one compass direction should have one name only and should, at least within a community, have the same name throughout its entire length. Now, I don't know if you can see on the map that what the proposal is the Bloomfield Cross. She wants it to change the name from Bloomfield Cross to Adams Drive, up into the Bloomfield Road, and then keep the Bloomfield Cross Road from Bloomfield Road to Ridge Road, which right now our policy, it's not something that's permittable in our policy. Well, they said it should have, and there are existing roads. There are some in the area, but I think the purpose of this bylaw was to prevent that from happening again.
I'm just asking, I know how long it is from 101 to Bloomfield because I've traveled it. From Bloomfield to the Ridge Road I don't know how far that is.
I can't answer. I don't know. I that's within scale, I think, but I don't know for sure, I haven't,
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
pull up the map. It's just a hand draw for some facsimile.
Okay. George?
On that section from, like, there was a few other people living on that road. Do they live from the intersection to the Ridge Road, or they live on this side of?
Mother Ridge Road,
There
right?
was
The section
A couple
from
other
between the
residents.
Bloomfield Road and the Ridge Road was the residents who were opposed to the change.
So there are no other people on this section?
No. Not the, no.
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm not prepared to ignore the policy for the road change.
I'm waiting to hear.
Yeah, same with me. I don't think we should change or ignore the policy and go against what our policy is.
Terrible optics. To change the half the road and request, council items. A couple of reasons I didn't like this.
I know we did in Sandy Cove, that's what I was asking. When it came to Churchill Road, remember, the other side was the old Sandy Cove Road, we left that.
Was that before the policy change?
Been since I've been on council, but I've been here for 100 years, I don't know.
I still, if we have the policy, I think it'd be improper.
I have no problem.
We have a policy in place that we, at this time, we have to abide by. I don't think it would be fair for us to make any decision in favor of the request unless you were to talk to the other people that have an interest on that road. Even though the people that are living on the other little piece of it, they may still be negatively impacted. We've changed the name with the confusion, so, I mean, and we've got a policy for a reason, so I'd wanna know more from EMO, whether or not, and from the ambulance services and stuff, like whether or not they see this as necessary. I know that there was confusion with fire services, and that's why this has been brought before us today. And so, you know, there is a legitimate concern brought forward from Councillor Adams with regards to the safety aspect of the road, but I think we'd have to have more information to support her decision or her request. But because if that road had a broke over and then another road went down, it'd be different. It'd be like two separate little roads. But that's straight back. But there is precedent in the municipality where we have done it, but that was prior to the policy being implemented. So I think we have to, right now, we have to follow our policy. And if council decides to amend the policy at some time, well, then it could be looked at a different date.
So do we need a motion? Or do we say where it goes against policy?
I think there should be a motion.
Last time we had a motion and
Yeah, I made a motion.
defeated it.
Yeah,
Well, that or a motion to reject the application could
I
be.
move that we reject the application.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Just want to know what your thoughts on it.
When I think of safety, it bothers me, to be upfront. I don't want to go against our policy. Do we need to look at our policy again? I would say that's the way to go. But just to change it for the sake of changing it, no, I'm not for that. So, yeah, I understand. Like I said, I had trouble in Sandy Cove, that's why I remember, but that's been a few years ago. And time goes so fast, and I think our policy came out after that, or around that time, because we didn't want to split. We didn't want EMO having problems.
But this does raise another question is, are we running into this problem in other parts of the municipality where, like, you go into Smith Cove and there's like 5 goalpost roads, like, and like it's very confusing for if someone had to have something delivered, or, but I don't know how it affects the policing and the fire protection and EHS.
I don't know.
So I think maybe, if possible, where you're on the police advisory committee, you could maybe raise this to see if this is something that's, I'm not saying we have to make changes, but maybe we need to educate people better on what the roads are.
Okay, can we put that on the agenda for the police advisory, to look at, like, for example, we'll use Miss Cove is the thing. I know in Culloden, we had to change the name to Culloden Road. Came up from the neck, and were called Broad Cove Road. But what was happening, the fire would come down, and he'd see 1345, I'm just using that for a number, and he'd go around the turn, and he'd see 1764.
Right.
Now, the other thing is, remember, we have no phone. There's nothing. So they go back and knock on my mother's house and say, there's a fire. Well, that's way down the road because it's two different roads, and yet the road never stopped. So that was, I mean, we had a letter from the police at fire, and so, but I have not heard of any concerns, except I've heard of this one, and that's what we have to remedy. So, we will put that on the police advisory, yes, Counselor?
Also, isn't there also a policy in regards to name change that 75% of the people that are on the road, something along those lines, have to agree to the name change? Two-thirds. And that's, if there's two people and the other people are opposed, that also is another breach of our policy if we were to bend the request. So that's not the only policy that we
Okay,
can change.
except she's now only talking about a piece of the road.
It's still the road they're on. Like, I could change my part of the road just in front of my house, but not because it's in front of my house, that's across it.
No, she's talking about the piece of the road that goes to another road, and then it keeps going from a road.
So that right here is not called Bloomfield Cross Road?
It is now.
Yes, it is now.
So I'm not too sure. In regards to what
Okay,
you're
look at
saying.
Bloomfield
Is it still
Road.
Bloomfield
See,
Cross Road that you
no,
live
look,
on?
look on the other side. Look at Bloomfield Road. That's a road that cuts through there. That's what she's saying. We're saying we don't want to do that. Does that make sense?
I disagree with the logic behind that because that entire road is Bloomfield Cross Road, and if you change it to my spot, to say Overcove Road, and I
We
want
understand.
Tudor
He's-
Road in the
he's saying
front.
the same thing you are.
Well, okay, because it doesn't sound like you're saying the same thing.
No, he is.
All right.
I'm shocked.
I don't want to, I could change just the front of my road to Tudor Road,
But
right?
there is kind of
There,
an intersection there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's an
Maybe it
inter.
might not be in front of your house, right?
It's an intersection. It's
intersection,
not.
yeah.
It's another road.
Stop and start.
It actually breaks the road up. It's like on Church Hill Road, and across the road. Well, you should know that. And across the road is Old Sandy Cove Road.
Okay.
It was all Old Sandy Cove Road, but nobody could find it because it's been known for Church Hill.
This might be the discussion for the policy PAC. Am I correct in that? Would that be where this policy comes
Not
from?
planning
No.
advisory, but
No.
I would suggest it would be a good discussion to have when we meet with Department of Transportation, because if
Mhm.
anyone knows about road name issues, it's them.
Yeah, that's an excellent one too.
Probably even more so than police advisory, but
Well,
definitely.
police advisory, we can check about if they're having problems.
Yeah, but I would
And-
definitely bring it up at
and
the.
put that on the TIR. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Would someone ask Martha to come back? Oh, thank you, Pat, I didn't mean for you.
Usually
We
left
had
where
some
you asked.
able-bodied men in here that I thought could get up and
Able-bodied
walk.
men.
I
David,
cartwheel down there.
David,
Actually, lost about 10 pounds.
good, keep losing.
I am. Got it all planned out.
Good show.
You too? Good job.
Yes, yes, it's not gonna happen. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's the next is under new business. We have the Digby Area Health Services Charitable Foundation, their June golf tournament. They asked me about this, and they said, when we spoke to you several months ago, Linda, you thought you might be interested. I said, but we've done budgets, and we haven't passed our budget, but I can tell you that's not one of the ones that was mentioned in our budget.
No.
No, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, because we talked about a few, and we had decisions for this and that.
Well,
yeah.
we made decisions. So,
So
this was not one that was in the budget.
No, it's not, but we did decide to drop the Belleville Motors one this year, and because,
This is what this is.
no, this isn't Belleville Motors. This is the Digby Charitable, this is a brand new one.
First year they've had
This is just for the,
I know, but it's sort of, it's just for the foundation.
it's for the local foundation, whereas the other one was for some money here and some in Clare.
Yeah.
And this is a brand new one for the first time, and you know, I know it would be back to 3 again if we did do it, but and also I think the foundation does good work in Digby, so I'm torn because I did want to see us cut back on them, but I'd like to see what other people think about it.
David, what do you think?
This is the first time, and we tend to give a little money maybe for these sorts of things for the first time that they put some effort into it. The Health Foundation, we don't, I don't recall any sort of.
Yeah, we just gave them $225,000.
For the multi-year.
Yeah,
Clinic.
for the clinic. Don't tell me we haven't given them any
No,
money.
for this.
George?
I'd like to, it's a charitable thing, it's good to be able to give some to these organizations and stuff, but we've already committed to 2, and we said 2 would be enough, and I think we should stick with the 2. And, we had decided to do the Claire, and one in the Tartan one here in the fall, so.
Which does
My thing,
ground
we should stick with the 2, and maybe next year, they have it again next year, we could.
Look at it. You feel the same? I
Long
certainly
as
feel
we-
the same.
Wait,
Jim?
I'm okay with that too, but there's a couple things. First of all, I don't treat this the same as the Health Foundation is putting money into building a medical clinic, and we're contributing to the project, no different than the town is in the province. So we're all partners in that. I look at this differently. So, but with the fact is that this request should have came to us a lot sooner than when it did.
Yeah, he mentioned it, it wasn't something, it was mentioned a long time ago, and I totally forgot.
Okay.
When he mentioned it to me, it wasn't like he mentioned it in January, he mentioned it in the fall.
If we didn't want to sponsor a team in it, I'd like to see us maybe make a sponsorship, like a whole sponsor or something like that, which is maybe a nominal amount of money, $100 or $200, and it still shows some support to the foundation.
Make the motion, that's how you feel.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we are a whole sponsor for the Digby and Area Health Services Charitable Foundation Golf Tournament to the tune of $200.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried.
Is there whole sponsors? I didn't see anything on the,
Well, they didn't ask for us to be a whole sponsor, but I just thought that was a compromise.
And then if they don't want it, it's good.
they don't want it. I'm sure they'll say no.
Someone's retired recently.
It needs a retirement fund money.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
I know, I'm just
I know a few things that you guys don't know. Digby Area Board of Trade, the annual business awards. This is the one that we attend every year. We're, of course, looking for nominations. The tickets, of course, are $50. Greg Kerr is going to be the MC. I am a judge, and the mayor, Ben Cleveland, is a judge for these awards. They want it very transparent and open on who, how, we have a criteria to go by and for the different awards. What they're asking us, if we would like tickets, I believe last year it was a table that you guys bought, I'm not sure, that's what I heard. Or if the ones who want to attend, we pick up the tickets and attend. What is the feeling of council? you'll be attending.
I'd probably attend as well. I don't know that we need to buy a table of 8, but I mean, we could buy tickets.
How many?
I would.
David? Remember, you gotta make
Let me
sure
check
you
the date.
attend if you're attending.
Let me check the date.
And of course, I would look at our CAO and deputy if
I
they-
know.
Is it 26?
It's the 26th. The date was changed on purpose.
Oh, it's the
because
26th now. Oh, I thought it was 31st. Let me recheck that.
What's that day fall on, a Saturday or
It's a Friday.
Friday?
It doesn't involve any graduations, does it, towards the end of the year?
No.
No.
Oh, June.
Just checking.
Well, I gotta check my calendar before I say yes for sure.
I have to do the same thing because my wife's doing her master's and it being on a Friday, she might not.
It is a Friday.
Yeah, she might not be
Okay.
there for a
So-
couple days, so I'll have to check.
So we definitely know there's 3, possibly 4, and Jeff is saying yes, and Linda. So Pat, you'll just have to check with Jimmy.
Yes, I'll be able to
Okay,
attend.
so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tickets. That
George,
doesn't count
did
right.
George say yes?
Yes.
Six.
And not me.
6.
Oh, I didn't count myself. I'm thinking, who did I miss? See, this is what happens. So, would someone like to make that a motion, please?
So moved.
What are we moving, David?
We are moving the purchase of 6 tickets to the Digby Area Board and Trade Dinner Gala at May 31st. Oops, sorry.
Annual
June
Business Awards.
26, 2015 Digby Pines
Annual Business Awards.
for the Business Awards.
Okay. Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is dark.
What is it?
There wasn't any.
There was nothing
There's
in the
no
packet.
there was no document.
Okay.
no.
Okay, I just want to
Oh.
start wondering what's going on.
Okay. What happened? Haha. How did I get that on the agenda?
Is this it?
You asked me to put it on the
No, it's
agenda.
just on
Oh,
the-
thank you. I was thinking, I told him we couldn't discuss it tonight, and yet I looked at that and thought, I wonder what's going on for dark on the agenda. Okay, I was talking to Bob Powell today. What happened, I received, and I just got it on Thursday night. It was after our deadline. I received a request that they are looking for, and I said we would not make a decision tonight, but I will explain it. They're looking at the Recreation Commission is putting on the, the
NHL?
conference in
No.
October.
No, what this is, you mentioned to me, you met with the mayor on Thursday to talk about programming.
Oh, yes,
That's
sorry,
what that is.
that one's the programming one. Okay, well, I had 2 things going on.
I got 4 things.
Okay, the other is not gonna come out till committee of the whole, that I was mentioning, but the programming. The mayor, and I met last Friday.
Thursday.
One of those days. And he has come to me with a request that they would like to open up the agreement and look at programming only, because they feel that there's more programming being done in the municipality than there is in the town. And they'd like us, and who we would like to look at that is the CAOs, the deputy CAOs, and Bob Powell. And that's the only thing they're discussing. They're not discussing capital, they're not discussing the dark itself, for, operating expenses. They're talking about programming only. Are you all willing for us to have that opened up and look at it? George,
Like, what do you mean by just programming?
just programming.
About,
After
like,
school
the funding that is involved in that?
Yeah, just for the programming. It's really a small part of the budget.
I know it's a small part, but to me, you're opening it up you open up a little bit this year, the next year you're opening up ice utilization, and you're opening up something else, and to me, if we want to do that, then we just do the whole, you open up the whole thing.
Well, they didn't want to open up the whole
I
thing.
know
They
they
just
don't want,
want,
but reading that, but
Well-
they will, I mean, why not? If you can do a little bit, then you're gonna,
well, just because they're feeling that we're getting more than they are.
well,
David?
I think there is a vast difference, but it's in favor of the town. We only have a couple very small programs that I'm always trying to get more of. I would be happy to open that up to discussion because I am, from my knowledge, it's vastly in favor of the town for program. There would be not even any sort of comparison, I would think, for, you know, the swimming and all that stuff, to, you know, one after-school one day a week in my district where something's put on, for a couple months here and a couple months there. I would be thrilled to open that up and see the difference.
Jimmy?
Before I make a decision, yes or no, I'd like to know what programming is being offered by DARC and where the programs are offered.
That's what we'd have to open it up to look at, because we don't know.
Why can't the manager of DARC provide that information to us before he opens it up? Because if you open it up, you're basically opening it up for discussion as to whether you're going to make a change. I just want to know what programs they offer. They should be able to tell you that.
I can tell you, we can let you know what programs are offered, but we can't tell you how many's municipal, how many's town.
I don't mean that. I mean, what programs are offered and where the location of those programs are offered. That's what I'd like to know.
Okay, we can find that out.
So,
Maybe I'd modify.
Linda,
Yes.
is that location of programs or who attends the program?
Well, it's both.
So you're looking at both things then? Not,
Only in programming, yes. They want to look at the whole aspect of programming.
well, that's recreation.
No, they're not talking about hockey, they're not talking about skating,
So
they were
what-
talking
No,
about
but the
programs.
programs they offer.
Are they talking like after-school programs only?
Well,
No, it
All
would be
programs they
Zumba,
offer.
it would be senior whatever, it would be, after-school programming,
day
day camps, swimming.
Geez, it sounds like very pick and choosy.
No, it's the programs, it's all the programs,
So
whether
for
it's for a
example-
senior or a youth.
So for example, in Weymouth, there's the day camp in the summer.
Mhm.
Right? At Barton School, they run Zumba or yoga
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah,
and that's
we're-
put on by recreation, but it's.
But they also run day camps here in Digby.
Oh, yes,
at
no,
the
I'm
rink,
just saying, yeah,
At the rink, which
yep,
involves,
for Digby Town.
yeah, no, but
Well-
you also have municipality kids
Yeah.
coming in for that.
And it's also the economic benefit would be to the town because people are coming there to spend. So the people from the municipality coming to the town is actually a benefit. It isn't any sort of additional or onerous requirement that they have to have people come from away and spend money in their town. I don't want to see that being split up as though they're doing us a favor by having it located in Digby. Maybe what Jimmy was saying, maybe I should modify the.
We haven't said anything yet, we're just all discussing.
A few years ago, we had a discussion about programs, not necessarily to see who attended what, but at the time it was if we wanted more programs offered into the municipality outside of what was currently being done, there was a willingness at that time that we would consider paying more money. I don't know necessarily that DARC went down that road, but I guess right now, before I say yes or no, I need to know whether to even have a review is to know what programs are offered and where they're located. And it's not who's in them.
Yeah, I understand where you want.
Yeah.
Then could we have that by committee of the whole? Linda?
This might be a shared service. Maybe
Well, I
we
can
don't
try.
want to open
I
it
mean,
because of the agreement.
Ask
It
Bob.
depends on how, yeah, he can probably provide a list of what programs. I
Yeah.
know he was part of his presentation that
Yeah.
was here. I think the challenge is going to be is pulling the cost of those programs out of the budget, because a lot of the staff they get a lot of funding for some of these programs. They get funding for summer staff who conduct these programs, so the cost of providing programs in the municipality is probably, we said, a very small portion of the budget, if that's what they're looking at.
That is what
If
they're
they're
looking
looking at programs that are offered in town that are, like you say, attended by, that's gonna be possible, because they don't track that type, they don't track that type.
Then we would be looking at what's done in town and what's done outside.
And I think it's right, I think would be skewed. I mean, when you look at the programs that are offered within the town, it's certainly probably 70%
Yeah.
more. We
You're just
currently
looking at- yeah.
we currently go across the board 50-50 on
50-50.
everything. So if programming, would be difficult to put a financial number on that. I'm just, I mean, in that, but I think we can get a list of the programs, if that's what we're
That's
looking
what's being asked for right now, they wanna look at a list.
So
Oh,
nothing,
okay.
nothing in writing, we haven't had anything in writing from them to formally open up the agreement, or?
No, it was
I just want to say, I have absolutely no interest in reopening the agreement in regards to the funding formula for DART. No interest, and I also like to point out, for example, there's some discussion right now in the islands of having a day camp, but the students would be working for free through the O2 program. Like, would that be reflected, that they're not even paying somebody? I'm sure that it would incur some sort of fiduciary cost, but like I said, will that reflect that, oh, for example, this is O2 and this is a percentage of money from a provincial grant, like
See,
Melinda was
I
saying.
can't answer that because I don't know what they have to do, what DARC would have to do if they can allow people that aren't working under them to run a camp for them. 'Cause
Oh, they are working for them, but there is some sort of, the
They're
O2
working for them, they're being paid, David. They're not working for nothing.
This is the O2 offer to do it for free, on the islands, that's what I'm talking about.
What I'm saying is that's something that DARC would have to look at because of all the liabilities.
I know that, in regards, they used to give out the cards, now they don't. I know what you're talking about. Gift cards, remember that? Used to
Oh,
give
yeah.
cards instead of
Yeah.
money, but then there was insurance problems.
Yes.
All POW has said that they would offer day camps on the islands,
Mhm.
but they don't have the numbers. The same with Weymouth, they don't have the numbers to verify or to make it worthwhile to send a.
See, I'd send two, and I know several, but nobody's asked us about it.
Well, he has tried in the past.
Well, maybe I'll check that out and talk to Bob.
I'm sure, maybe it's too late for this year, but he has said that
There was
different times, they've tried to do it on the islands.
I know
Tried
that.
to do it in Weymouth, they don't have the numbers,
Okay.
so he can't do it.
My understanding that there was a few people interested in a request, but they hadn't heard
Well, it
back
might be a
yet.
few people, but it's not worth sending somebody in there for 2-3 people, or, for a week, or for the summer, right?
Oh, maybe if there's a couple more than that, though.
Well, if they had numbers, yeah.
I'll call
So,
Bob, just
yeah.
talk to him in general, not as a part of
But
this
that's not,
discussion. Sorry, I'm getting off
Oh,
topic.
yes, you are.
We're not just picking on the islands or on.
I know that.
Weymouth,
No, no. It
for-
was-
I've had a
program.
few things down there that I was, like the day camp and stuff, couldn't find someone to work it. Things happen, I understand, but.
Okay, no,
Yeah. Oh, off topic.
words,
I am a little confused that, the information that the town wants, isn't that something they can just go to Bob and ask for? Why do we have to
no,
open a contract?
they want the CAOs, and they want everything done to look at programming because of cost, because
Well, I
the
understand.
town
What
they're- I
feels,
think-
Yep.
the town feels that maybe it's 70-30, and they should only be paying 30%, and we should be paying 70. As I said to Ben, or it could be that you guys are 90 and we're 10, and we should only pay 10% as well. I mean, he understood that.
Maybe you'll-
But it's coming from his council, it wasn't coming from Ben, it was coming from his council. They had to make a grave decision whether they were going to give the 20,000 or not. I do not know if they did or did not. It was Thursday because they were meeting that night to make decisions because they just feel that too much money is going into recreation, keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And there doesn't seem to be a stoppage or a cutback on what they're doing. Even though we are doing a lot of recreation, a lot of free programming, to me, we're where we finally wanted to be. And it's taken this to get where we wanted to be, where I've heard for 20 years, over 20 years, of where we'd like to see DARC. And anyway, Ben is, that's why he came and met with me, and I said I told him I'd bring it forward, that would probably be open to it, but I could not give him that answer because it was just me. I said, I definitely have no problem personally, but I said, I can't answer for us, I can only say I bring it forward. So what we'll do we need a motion, Linda?
If it's, I guess I just need clear direction,
All right,
and you want me to talk to Bob
And get a
Powell to
list.
see if he can provide a list of programs and where they're being
And where they're
offered.
being held.
Yeah, no
For the committee of the
reopening
whole.
any agreements.
No, that's all we're gonna do right now. We gotta walk one step at a time.
Yeah, no motion, make this some,
No, okay? All right. Now, the other thing, that, I will be bringing up at committee of the whole is, for the conference, they're asking for us to look at giving them some money.
You're not gonna be here.
And I'm not gonna be here
What,
Committee
what's
of the whole?
this?
in 2 weeks' time.
I'll be here. I'm always here.
Me and the
Yeah, I
agenda.
can put it on the agenda with the thing, and I'll leave Linda with all the, what was suggested.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
Okay,
Linda,
thank you for
Linda,
reminding me.
I'm not also.
No,
not
no,
gonna
no,
be
I
here.
already told Linda we weren't gonna be there.
Both of us, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No, I
Can I sit in
told
your
her,
seat
and then
while
I'm
you're gone?
sitting here,
Alright, where's
huh?
this
Can I sit in your seat while you're gone?
No,
Ah, thought I'd ask.
Jimmy gets to sit in this seat, not you.
Alright. I know.
You can sit in Jimmy's seat.
Has the air conditioning been turned on or something, because I'm freezing all of a sudden?
Oh, it's hot in here.
Well, come
It
sit
is hot
here.
in here.
I'll sit over there then.
Okay. Now it's warm.
That's what I think, I'm sweating.
The air conditioners must be blowing.
Right up
here, 'cause
over
it's
us.
coming right over top of
Oh,
us.
maybe I'll,
Freezing.
if it's
Is there a
bad, I'll
fan?
switch over there, man.
The fans aren't on, are they?
The air's on automatic.
It's
Yeah, I
automatic.
think it's
Turn it off
automatic.
in a second.
Sorry.
It's set at 23.
It's set at
It hasn't been warm
23,
all day. I finally thought it was warm.
which is hot.
Warm anymore.
I'd switch.
I'd switch it at 20
I'm always
myself.
sweating in
Okay,
here.
go ahead, sorry.
Sweating.
Sorry, that's fair enough. Then the next thing
Okay.
is the Chief Administrative Officer's Report, the meeting reminders. Now, I have one that I want to bring forward right off, is June 1st, the bylaw and policy. I'd like it to come in later that evening because we have been asked to go to the Apple Blossom Festival Royal Tour dinner at the Boardwalk Cafe. The town of Digby invites you to attend the Royal Tour dinner at the Boardwalk Cafe and Suites. I assume it meant for all council.
I got one too, I think.
I got that,
Okay,
but
so,
I got a question for you though on that. in
and this
regards-
is their last year for doing
Right.
this.
Where that's a bylaw and policy meeting, and we have the climate change workshop from 1 to 4,
Yes.
can we cancel that bylaw and policy meeting for that time? Is there pressing stuff that we have to deal with that night? Or what's on the agenda for that meeting?
There was one item that was time sensitive. I mean, we
Could-
could
then
meet at
could we
4
meet-
o'clock.
Yeah.
What
All
time's
right.
the dinner?
5.
Yeah, right after then.
And actually on my,
I know, it's for 4 to 4:30, we're gonna discuss that.
yeah, there was that one, there is one item that really we'd like to bring forward.
So we can meet at 4. And those who are attending this, would you please make sure
They know?
that you call Leslie or tell me, and I will tell Leslie.
I'll write you after I talk with my wife and she lets me know.
She lets you go.
I'm
David,
allowed.
you're going to be here to the climate change workshop from noon on.
Yeah, I'll be allowed.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be.
All right, so there's George, I know Maritza's attending.
I'm just overly
And
concerned
Jimmy's
with the
attending.
kids.
Linda, are you attending? Jeff, are you attending?
I'm attending. And what's the date for that again? June 1st?
June 1st. We're just going to meet here from 1 o'clock till 5. We'll go down there at 5, and when we're finished there, we get to go home.
Dinner.
Okay, and Jeff, so I'll tell him there's 6.
I got the snooze.
Thank you very much. That makes life much easier. Now, with the meeting dates, just to remind you, the climate change workshop does start at 1. It is for all council. I'd like you to be there if possible. The bylaw now is at 4 o'clock. On the 2nd is the Wren Liaison and Oversight Committee, which is Jimmy. On June 2nd is the Digby Development Agency at 4:15, which is Gregory and McAlpine. June 8th is Committee of the Whole, and as you already heard, there will be 2 of us not there, so the other 3, please make sure you're there. June 9th is the Shared Services Committee meeting, and I don't need to be there. June 15th is TIR, and it's full council.
I'd like to make a point out with TIR, that will be the 8th area manager that we've had since I was elected in 4 years.
Well, this time, this guy's staying until he retires in 2 years.
Oh!
It's TIR. It's fine. TIR at 5.
5.
Very frustrating. I can't even tell you. You've seen it. I don't have to tell you.
And then policy and bylaw at 6. Joint RCMP advisory on June 16th. June 22nd is council, and then June 29th, we're not having a meeting. At this time, I would like to bring forward, the CAO is further along, has asked us to make a decision if we would like to change the bylaw and policy to, she said 4 or 4:30, and I know with Jimmy, he prefers 4:30, he's already mentioned that. I would prefer definitely 4:30 to 6, but are we getting too much earlier in the day? That's my question. David?
I think that since the staff especially is here at, 8 o'clock-ish in the morning, it's a very long day. When we were here to 9:30, 10 o'clock at some of these meetings, less hours. And, I think we want people to be as fresh as they can, as alert as they can, and.
You also have to think about the public as well.
Oh, of course, I don't think,
I know public don't usually come, but you're,
Mostly it's staff a lot
Yeah.
that give presentations to the bylaw policy.
George?
I think it's great for staff, and if people do want to make a presentation or something, they can always set it for 5 or 5:30. Start at 4:30, we can interrupt when we start. I think we do have to remember, though, when it comes the next election, put it up for review again in case you have somebody elected that works daytime.
Mhm.
Because right now, like, other than Jimmy, who's kind of self-employed, the rest of us are free to come at almost any time.
Not David.
I got my babies.
But if somebody gets elected that has a full-time job, so we have to look at, agree to look at it again. That's our next.
Jimmy?
I have no problem with 4:30. I mean, I can knock off at 4 o'clock and it gives me a half hour to change and get here. That's not a problem. And to be honest, there are councils out there that meet at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And
Which go against what George Cuff has always said.
I know.
They shouldn't be meeting in the daytime.
I know, I prefer the evening, it makes it more accessible for the public to attend. But if we have a meeting starting at 4:30, that's a reasonable time. And that's by law.
And we will have to keep it
Yeah.
limited where there's gonna be no food or anything, because you're gonna
Of
go from
course.
4:30 to 6:30, that's.
Right, but it also is better if, say, for example, we have the manager of King's Transit come down to meet with us, or if we have TIR come in, it makes it better.
Well, TIR will still come in, or we'll meet a little bit before and then a little bit after.
I mean, I can change the time for them too, like if you want, well, that's the thing, so if we're talking the next meeting, like transportation, you wanna keep them at 5? Or have them come in, with transportation, we always meet an hour before our meeting, so that would mean 3:30.
Yeah.
For TIR, or do we wanna keep them, that takes up a lot, that takes
That's
up our
cutting.
meeting, we can't start our meeting, stop it, they're two separate meetings.
Well,
So-
then we can ask them to come in at 4:30.
If they
But I
can't, if
wouldn't-
they started at 4:30 and we went to 4:30 to 5:30 and then we started the bylaw and policy on that time.
And knowing it's gonna run for 2 hours, we'll still bring food in for that meeting.
Yeah, we usually do for that meeting
Yeah.
anyway. Okay,
Can we
so,
Yes?
Can I
Melissa?
suggest that we try it on a trial basis for 6 months or something like that, and
And it'll be
then
reviewed?
review it? Just because we don't know how it's gonna work. Are we gonna be, just for example, TIR, trying to juggle?
Okay, so can I have that as a motion, please?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're agreeing to move to 4:30, and we will relook at this in 6 months.
And we'll be flexible.
that
with the
will-
public and presenters, right?
so that will start effective June 15th.
Yes.
Next month, yeah, or next.
Although we are meeting at 4 o'clock for the June 1st bylaw policy.
Yeah.
June
I
15th,
sec-
4
I second
o'clock.
that.
Yeah, but that's, we're leaving alone. We're just
Okay,
gonna
okay.
meet at
As long as
4.
we're flexible to the public and presenters.
That's exactly
And
right.
I'm sure we will be.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
It's 4:30.
Yep.
The next, there was the update on action items. Was there any, besides that one? I didn't see any others. Update on capital projects. Update on special projects and initiatives. Yes, sir?
Back earlier in the spring, we had mentioned, or in the winter, we had mentioned about putting money aside for comfort. No, not comfort, comfort stations. And we said we'd talk about it in our.
We're gonna look at that at capital,
Okay.
and it's in there on capital. It was $10,000 we're looking at. It's somewheres in that report. I saw it, and it's in red, to discuss at capital, when we do our capital budget.
And I'm hoping to do, well, it'll now be the 15th. I was hoping to do the capital budget on the 1st, but we'll do it on the
Okay.
15th.
Yeah.
I would like to speak about one of the committee, the whole action items.
We haven't got to the committee.
Oh, I
of
thought you
action.
were just saying.
update on action items, update on capital projects,
Actually, I don't know, it isn't, sorry.
update
Oh,
on
action.
special projects and initiatives, decisions, direction requests for the policy, changing of the bylaw and policy meeting, which we just have done. Now, I need approval of the April 2015 payables. Jimmy?
Can I ask questions about the CAO's report, or is that gonna be after?
We'll do that in a moment.
What was that, sorry, what did Jimmy say? What's that?
We're
Go ahead,
going,
ask the question.
we're going to do the approval of the April 2015 payables.
I'll move the payables of $782,651.89.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. The income and expense report for April was not available. Now, Jimmy has asked, can he ask quick questions on those reports, and I suggest.
Okay, so we can go.
All right, go ahead.
Regarding the one with the fishery licensing, we've got a response back from Mark LeBlanc.
Yes.
I feel that now that probably should be taken off of the reporting, because we've gone as far as we can go with that.
Yes.
And if anything, we could maybe post this information on our website, but I don't know.
There was one follow-up action. I had asked Mr. LeBlanc just to follow up to make sure there were staff here at this Service Canada who were available. So that's why it's still on the agenda. I'm just waiting for that item.
All right.
Because usually if you go in and ask them to help you, they will know.
No, but he's saying in this letter that
I know.
they're manned to do that now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, go in there and apply for unemployment. See what they tell you. They do not help you. That's your problem. Get someone to come in and help you.
and I had one more question.
Yes.
Regarding the signage for UNESCO, I know it's gone back to the Tourism Association, but like I want to know more. Like, when's this going to get dealt with? Like, are they going to? Is this something they're working on for this year? Can we find that out? Because I felt it was important that we got signage up on the UNESCO biosphere, and it's been turned over to them, and I just want to know if it's on their work schedule for this year.
You know, George?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know at the last couple of data meetings, they talked about signage. And I thought they were gonna get something up for this summer. That was my understanding, and it was just kind of, I don't know if that's, written down in black and white or not.
I just, like, by reading their minutes, I just know they don't meet a lot in they don't meet in the
Not
summertime.
in summertime, no, they've had
So-
their probably last meeting last week.
Right,
And
so,
because it gets busy in the summer, and
so if they haven't just made that decision to have signs made, it's not gonna happen this year.
probably
Right.
not, but I know they were talking about it, and I thought it was gonna get done for the summer.
Okay,
Discussions they had.
So we'll see if when they can find it.
I can follow up with Rob
Yeah.
tomorrow.
all right, thank you.
Now, David, you asked the committee of the whole action item. I
Yeah.
assume that's about the greenest municipality?
Exactly. Nova Scotia provided, I know the power lines are not set up as contained units within municipality to municipality, but these two questions would give us a very good idea, and it would be arguably correct. How much power is used in the district? How much is produced by renewable sources in the district on, a given day, given week, whatever? Those two questions, I know maybe some power's coming from, outside of the district from one source, and some of the power within the district's going out of the district. Like, that answer, the answer we're looking for could be asked, how much power is used in district, how much power is produced by renewable sources in the district? Instead of, because they seem to have taken the question,
Well, they're saying it can be from any source.
yes, but we can still ask those two questions. They didn't want to say, some of the power's going to Annapolis, we can't say for sure. I think they looked at the question a little too myopic about it,
Okay.
a little too close.
I think the question was posed to them is that can the municipality claim that all power used within the municipality comes from renewable energy sources? That was the question that we were asked to ask them.
You're saying
And they
no.
came back that they can't say for any certainty 100% because it
Wires
comes
come.
from different sources at different times.
So maybe we could ask the question, how much power is used in district, and the question, how much power is produced by renewable sources in the district? That would still be able to, we'd still be able to frame the discussion as to how much renewable energy we produce in this area from those questions.
But I don't think we could not claim that because they're saying it's coming from other sources. We can find out those
But
answers, but we can't claim it
You
because
could
they're
claim we
saying.
produce enough to look after ourselves.
Okay, yeah, that we could do.
See, Vancouver, there is other
Well,
places,
that's
there is
what
precedent.
that's what the question was. I mean, is the power 100% that's used within the district come from 100% renewable? And they can't say that for any certainty.
No, because you got power being brought in from outside it sometimes, but like David says, if you know how much you produce and how much you use, then you could claim Digby County produces enough to.
I mean, it's going to be variable. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the use is going to, for the district, is going to go up sometimes and down sometimes. But
Yeah, but in around of a year, it should.
We can
Well, we
get
can
an
try to
idea, and then
find
we can
out.
start working on it. It would also be nice little ammunition for the future title projects, that, we're only 3% from being self-sufficient for the usage and production within the district. See, that sentence is completely accurate.
Yes,
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
yes. I can see what you're trying to say.
I'm trying to say.
Take a long time to say it.
I do. I talk a little bit. I'm a little bit talkative.
Jimmy?
I had one more question
Okay.
regarding the CO report. I was really pleased to see this too. You had an RCMP meeting with representatives from the RCMP in Clare, Staff Sergeant from Clare and Digby. I was really pleased to see how the RCMP has requested to have a 3-member unit formed for a temporary fill-in, so sort of like a locum, which is what we had been pushing for anyway when we had our meeting with Department of Justice. So is this something that you feel that the province may favor? Because isn't the province going to have to fund this?
as far as we know, it's only an ask. They haven't responded back or not, and I can't answer how the province is going to react to that question. I mean, we can certainly discuss it with our MLA.
Right, and also, like, is it a permanent, like, is it a permanent unit type of thing? That
That-
would be, there'd be 3 members in this unit, and they would just fill in the vacancies
In
as
the
required.
Southwest region,
In
yeah.
the Southwest
I think they've
region.
asked for it in different regions as well, because it's not only here.
Right.
Especially since the policy has changed with the paternity leave. That is really creating a lot of vacancies, so that's why they're trying to get funding for this 3-unit,
Right.
3-person locum, really is. But I think with the follow-up meetings that we have with them, but I don't know how far they've gone with the ask and where it is, but I can find out.
Does the federal government put any funding into policing at all?
This contract, our contract is 100% with the province, so it's
Right.
the province funds it.
So the province would have a contract with the RCMP?
Province has
Yes.
a contract with the RCMP,
But like,
and we contract with the province.
yeah, I understand that, but I guess my point is that if this unit was put in place, the province would actually have to fund it unless they were able to convince the federal government to help offset the cost of this unit.
Yeah, they, yes, it's an ask, it's an additional budget request.
Budgetary request.
But I think during our conversations, there are some members that are funded by the federal government. I think that's more of the strategic, some of the more strategic or specialized, like the policing, like some of the crime, like the cyber crime and that type of thing. I think, and I'd have to be 100% sure, but they're more specific as far as their, sort of like Homeland Security type people.
Also,
I don't know if we have any in our area or
Yeah.
not, but.
they took the major crime unit out of Yarmouth. It's
Mhm.
not even there anymore.
Right.
So, like, I don't know where that funding went, but I was talking to one of the members of the RCMP, and that person informed me that major crime wasn't in Yarmouth anymore. So I
Yeah.
was surprised to hear that, actually.
Yeah, that wasn't something,
That's
and
right.
we actually talked about the crime unit being in Yarmouth during our meeting, so.
Yeah.
But they have committed to come in and meet with council, so certainly start gathering up questions.
That'd be a good
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
Okay. If there is no further questions or concerns, we will go to correspondence. UNSM 2014 resolution responses, that was really long. Does anyone want to make any comments? The biggest thing I've seen, they want to have a strategy for the poor in rural Nova Scotia. David,
That strategy is based on an economic argument that was quite popular about 15 years ago in regards to all economic growth is based upon growth in urban areas. And I was quite, that strategy is a recipe for us losing all of our services in Digby, being moved to Yarmouth. It's even within the map and the area around it, and I don't think that those economic arguments are valid. That's a dated view that people who went to university 15, 20 years ago all had in their little intro to economics textbooks. And that is not as necessarily as valid today as it was then. There's other things that I think that are a lot more valid for economic arguments in regards to rural areas. And I think we should strenuously oppose it, because it essentially is move all services to those areas such as Yarmouth, Kentville, and all of our other rural areas will lose out if you take the economic strategy to its natural conclusion.
But what part I was talking about was for the poor. Like, they brought up several things for the poor in rural Nova Scotia. That's the strategy I was talking about.
The stuff I was talking about was the use of the urban
Yeah.
economics in the
Yeah,
circles.
I know the one you're talking.
Well, you're talking about the presentation that was circulated, that was given by Dan Mills at the at the
Oh,
last
okay.
UNSM conference.
I'm confusing the two.
Yes.
The two
The resolutions were the dialogue on poverty in rural settings, the establishment of the Nova Scotia to New England ferry route as international highway.
Okay, yeah, okay, I
and
got.
continued provincial
Totally different.
support, yeah, school bus use for public, you know, that was my concern, Jimmy.
The direction the UNSM is going to end up going is that they are not going to have resolutions like this going forward in
No.
the future.
No.
And the reason being is that
Too
you
many.
throw too much at the province, and you're going to have to really put it down and concentrate it down to 4 or 5 asks, and that's going to be it, because otherwise you're not going to get nothing done.
Right.
And so, like at the conference in the spring workshop, this is one of the discussions that took place. Like, there's a lot of resolutions there. They're great resolutions, but in all honesty, you didn't need a resolution to ask those questions. The municipality could have called up someone or a department or MLA or and they could have gotten that answer, like access to community energy data, for example. And they want to use school buses for public transportation. Well, that's been going on, and that discussion's taken place now for years. But there's a lot of things that would have to happen around that before you could even have that discussion. But I guess what I'm trying to say, that this is great, but they're going to end up bringing that down and fine-tuning it down to 4 or 5 asks. And how it unfolds this fall at the conference, I don't know. But you're probably going to still have units throwing out resolutions. I can remember one year we had over 40. And government's not going to deal with that.
No,
They can't.
And
it's impossible, and I mean, that's what they were saying at the spring workshop,
Right.
that, we may be combining up some things, it's the same type of thing. And, well, they're gonna cut it down to, as you said, 4 or 5 resolutions, because it's just,
Right.
it's not gonna work otherwise.
the next thing I wanted to mention is that report that went out today, that Don Mills had done
Yes.
for corporate research. I feel that at a future bylaw and policy meeting, I'd like to devote a meeting to having this discussion around that report, because there is a lot in that report, and there's a lot of stuff in that report that people are not going to want to hear, but it's a fact that that's the way it's going to have to go. This province cannot afford to keep going down the path it's going, and I think it would be prudent for us to have a discussion on the report and see if there's anything in it that we can help incorporate in our strategy going forward.
Okay?
Very
Everybody-
much looking forward to having that discussion with you. I'll hit the old books on it too.
My question was,
Sorry. ADD.
does everyone agree with devoting a bylaw and policy meeting to that report, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you can set that up for some time.
When it comes to provincial policy, we're in big trouble
Then,
in this area.
thank you. The next, one was Digby Area Theater, and the Digby Area Board and Trade March minutes and their April minutes. Any other questions or concerns on those correspondence? If not, we're gonna go to the standing committees of council recommendations. The first is the bylaw and policy recommended, approval of the 2015-16 operating budget, and I have asked Linda to do a presentation.
Okay.
So, up to this point, council's had, I think, maybe two meetings to discuss the operating budget. And the first draft, or one of the last drafts, was reviewed on May 4th, and council approved in principle the statement of estimates. What we have here is this is sort of a PowerPoint presentation, and you have with you the draft of the operating budget. The only difference from the first draft was the recommendation. There's a $5,000 increase in revenue, which was a transfer from the auditors, the municipal auditors reserve, where we had been informed that we would have to set aside $5,000 each year for the municipal auditor, and now that program, they're not going forward with providing the municipal auditor, so that money's going to roll back into our general operating. So the budget that I gave you on the 4th is just increased by $5,000. So this budget is proposing no changes to the residential tax rate of $1.30 per 100 of assessment and $1.85 for commercial. And there are no changes in any of the area rates for this year. So this budget is proposing approximately 1.67 increase from last year's budget. And this busy slide is sort of a breakdown of the assessment with comparison to last year's assessment. So you can see our residential assessment increased about 2% over last year's. Now, you have to deduct the capped assessment, which was properties were capped if their increase in their assessment went up by 1.304%. And actually this year there's less properties capped in value than the previous year, and properties no longer are capped if they are either sold to a non-family member or there's been a significant amount of work that's been done to the property to add to the value. So for that year they lose the cap, but then the cap will be at that new level. So this year the 47 million, it was down. So that worked out to, in total, about a 2.78% increase in taxable residential assessment. In the residential assessment, there's 5,307 assessment accounts, and of those, about 3,588 were capped. So the number of dwelling units are 4,488 with the number of lots. So that broke out, and at the average tax bill or tax burden on properties on the dwellings is about $830 as opposed to $770 last year. So resource assessment, the market value, that increased by a significant amount, and I think that's because of a revaluation of a forest property is now being reevaluated to resource. So now their taxable value is applicable to the residential rate, and again, properties are vacant land is eligible to be capped, so that resulted in about a 9% increase in resource. Commercial, of course, is a very small component of our tax base, and the net commercial tax rate is about 3.46. So the assessment values in total, our total taxable assessment increased by about 2.64%. So that gives a breakdown of the different classes of assessment: the residential, the resource, and the commercial, less the seasonal deduction. Seasonal deduction applies to seasonal properties that close for a part of the year, so they pay based on 75% of their assessment. So that worked out to about $17,000 in actual tax dollar loss. So total tax revenue increased by 2.61%. So, and that is sort of the text to the previous slide, which I've already said, the number of properties that were capped, and then our total net assessment increased by 2.78. So assessment growth can be a result of becoming ineligible for cap due to non-family sales. It could be new growth, new building construction, and or new created lots. So that's how an assessment can increase. Plus market value will increase. So any revenues from increased assessment, of course, is needed to offset the expenditures and to provide the mandatory contributions to the province and to fund increasing costs to provide the level of service that council has indicated that they wish to provide, as well as following the priorities of council. So the expenditures represent the total required spending so that we can meet our non-discretionary requirements, such as the $1.3 million that we have to contribute to education, and as well as providing things from community grants to fire departments, our programs, and also to meet the priorities of municipal council. So highlights, there's no tax increase or area rate increases. We managed to increase the low income tax exemption from 200 which was last year, to 225, and we increased the threshold for, up to 23,000 in income. So anyone with income less than 2,300 can apply for a rebate of $225. We provide about $42,000 in rebates or tax exemptions to nonprofits, and that's through our bylaw where nonprofits can apply. So that's revenue that municipality doesn't get, so that's an expense. So it's roughly around 42,000. Grants to our organizations, our festivals, our VICs in total is about 81,000. Our grants to our fire departments is 405,000, and expanded service for Transport to Clare is 23,000, which is up by 10 from 13. Support for King's Transit, 193,000, and renewable energy opportunities is about 186,000. So those are sort of the highlights. So going back to the mandatory expenditures, like a great percentage of our budget, as you realize, we have not a lot of discretion on. So some things that we are mandated, and this slide provides a trend from somehow. So for example, from education, from 2012 to 13, increased by 4.54%.
That's a big increase.
So in that year, and it gradually increases every year. So assessment is pretty much staying the same. Corrections looks like it's gone down a little bit. Our contribution to any deficits from housing has been roughly the same. RCMP costs, that's one of the bigger.
Keeps going up.
It keeps going up.
Rapidly
About 2.2% increase, I think. So those are some of the mandatory expenditures. So you're looking at almost $3 million of our $7 million budget. We really have no control over.
The province needs.
So, and this is, and council's very familiar with that. I just included that. It's just the priorities of council under the 4 pillars of economic development, environment, social community, and culture and heritage. And that's a combination of our integrated community sustainability plan and council priorities that we had met when council was first elected. So some of the things we're working on, and anyway, so are obviously opportunities in renewable energy, looking for the tidal servicing center, under economic development. We're working with the shared services committee on the welcoming committee. Always working on physician recruitment. So those are just some of the things that we're doing that is reflected in our budget. So budget summary under revenues. So we have last year's budget proposed. So the first column is last year's budget. The categories of revenue are taxation, grants in lieu of taxes, Services we provide to other governments are sales of our own services, revenue from our own services, unconditional transfers from other governments, conditional transfers, and transfers from our own funds. So the first column on all those categories is what was proposed last year, and these are our actuals as of March 31st, 2015. So, and then our proposed for this year. So our total revenues for this year is proposed at $8,109,672. So you can see in taxation we have a bit of an increase, grants in lieu of taxes increase, and decreases in some of the other categories. And at the bottom one there, the transfer, the $5,000, that's the transfer I was referring to from our reserve back into our operating. And anytime anybody has a question, I'll try to answer it.
Jimmy?
So, unconditional transfer from other governments, is that also including the gas tax funds?
No, gas tax funds, no, doesn't go into operating, that's purely capital.
All right.
That would be, conditional transfers from other governments is if we've applied for funding for projects, operational projects, like a lot of that last year was our, the open space strategic plan that we did, so we had funding for that. We had funding for a lot of things that tourism, that
study.
the study, yes, with Dalhousie.
Studies, right?
The electric vehicle charging,
Oh, okay.
the electric vehicles.
Uh-huh.
Actually, there was a thing on CBC radio this morning about that.
Well,
Lucas was,
nice.
yeah. And we were mentioned that they had done a study for us. So some of that, so that's mostly project funding, and right now, we don't have any project funding that we're looking at this year in terms of operational projects, so.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for.
No, I'm not done.
Oh.
We just wish you were, sorry.
I'm trying, yeah. So this sort of is, I always like pretty pictures, and this very clearly indicates where our revenue comes from. And 85% of our revenue comes from property tax. So that's where the majority of our revenue comes from. The next largest would be other revenue from our own sources, and then sales of services, and then unconditional grants and that type of thing.
Sales services, that would be like doing
The sale of the services of
Gas.
wastewater treatment to Annapolis County.
Okay, yeah.
But all the sales that occur, you're right, at the airport, like the sale of jet
Okay.
fuel and that type of thing. Yeah.
I'd be curious to see what a year-to-year of that looks like, that pretty picture. To see some
Same.
trends, very similar.
I think the trends would be, 85%, 88, I
Very
bet you if you
similar.
looked at the presentation I gave last year, I bet you the percentages, and actually when I changed them, there wasn't a lot of difference.
So there's no big trends this way or that way or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
So, and this is a quick breakdown. What I've done here is just the revenue taxes. These are some of the things that are included in that. Your net taxable assessment, your assessable cap, your area rates, which is your fire rates, your sidewalk rates, your J-class road rates, streetlight rates. Special assessments, Alliant, the assessment we got from Nova Scotia Power, I think that was about, because of the assessment, it's about $113,000 increase in that one. The transfer tax and our wind turbine taxation increases by 1% every year. So that's what included in that $6.9 million figure. And then it shows the budget from last year and the actual from last year. Then our grants and lieux, that's what, so for provincial, the province doesn't pay us taxes, they pay grant and lieu, but the provincial grant and lieu is based on the assessed property value, whereas the federal government, they pay whatever they want to pay.
Lots could be nothing.
So they can have like something in Keji or whatever can be assessed at $5 million, and we could get
$40.
$100 in taxes. That's just the way it works out. So we're looking through grant lieu's for federal 15,000. I mean, you can see it. Yeah. This is like services provided to other governments, and that's, that wasn't in sales and service, that's service provided. So we provide Annapolis County sewer treatment, in Smiths Cove, so we get revenue from them of about 45,000. Town of Digby, we provide them IT services. We provide transit, building inspection services, and last year was new as a dog control.
Well, we did fire too, fire inspection.
Building inspection, fire inspection, yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
included in that 23. Yeah. So for town of Annapolis Royal, Bridgetown, and Middleton, we do building inspections, but this year, we've lost Bridgetown because they've merged now, they're part of Annapolis County. And Annapolis County is gonna be providing them with their building inspections, and I'm assuming that Annapolis Royal and Middleton will follow. It
Because of
just
the
makes more sense
proximity,
for them.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's why the budget is down a bit from last year. So sales of services, this is where we get the airport revenue, the jet fuel sales, the avgas, tax certificates, our dispatch services for just the fire departments that aren't within our district, and I think we used to do the police in Annapolis Royal, I think we still do, plus the sewer charges that we charge the residents.
But we don't do the private security company anymore.
No, they moved out.
Yeah, also just in regards to the airport, is that gonna make a big difference, the loss of that business that was working in the hangar? Is that
They
negligible
paid
or
a very
significant?
nominal monthly rental
It
for
was
the hangar.
nominal? Okay,
And we already have used for it.
okay,
Already-
just wondering.
yeah.
It does impact a bit,
Mhm.
and when you looked at the line item on hangar rent, it would have gone down.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that was one of
The
the things
figure,
that jumped out
the
for
exact
me.
figure escapes me right now, but.
Okay.
So other revenue from owned services, like licensing and permits, municipal fines, income on investments, income on outstanding taxes. Other revenue is the public drop-off fees, subdivision fees, and hopefully ComFit revenue, the revenue that, from our ComFit when we start generating some electricity and we can sell it back to Nova Scotia Power.
That's the line item I was interested in.
Yeah, so that's why last year we had hoped that it would be up and running, and that's why the budget was like 447,000, and the actual was only 257. So hopefully we'll get at least 9 months out of it this year.
Okay.
Which is a big
So
help.
conditional transfers, our equalization grant, the province had pledged that they would freeze it this year at last year's amounts, and then just farm acreage grant, which is nominal, and the 911 recovery fee, which is around $3,000. You see on your Nova Scotia Power, no, it's on your phone bill.
Yeah.
You see a 911 charge on your phone bill. That money is actually distributed to municipalities.
Really?
Yep. We get about $3,000.
Yeah.
So, and then
What do
again,
we use it for?
it goes in our general revenue. So this time, there's no project funding anticipated, so there's nothing in that revenue stream. So the 5,000 is the transfer from the municipal auditor reserve. So expenditures, again, same thing. First column in the different expenditure categories, you've got the budget from last year, the actuals, which are still unaudited, and then our proposed. So basically, this is the biggest environmental development. I think the biggest drop there, 16%, is because of what I just said. We didn't receive the revenue. The generator isn't working. So on the expenditure side, the operating costs for the generator, we didn't get those either. So you reduce the revenue, you reduce the operating costs. So everything else, education about 2.9, financing and transfers was 60.4%, and that's transfers to our own funds. Okay.
That'll get one of our provincial red marks, nonsensical red marks. Is that correct?
Well, that was in the financial indicators that we hadn't put money in our own capital reserve. So this year we have decided to do. We're
Just
starting.
a good budget.
Yep.
Other years, that's why.
So the expenditure pie chart, you can see, is a little more distributed. So our biggest category is protective services, which includes police and fire services and emergency management operation, dog control, that type of thing. Building inspections, that comes under protective services. The next one after that would be the general government services, so that would be administration, this building, general administration, legislative, I think the next one would be the pink one, which is education, 1.33%, 1.3 million. 19 would be the environmental health, which is 1 million, which is our wastewater treatment and solid waste. Environmental development, and so those are the different categories. So some of the big ones, public health. And then that's just a breakdown of what's in general government services. So you have the legislative, which is council, the general administrative salaries, and we receive the cost of living of 1.7%. Anyone that's at the top of the range. Taxation, so the bylaw exemptions, the low income tax rebates, all that falls under that category.
Just with the low income tax rebate, that was $40,000 it costs? Is that that's the estimate for this year, is that right? If I remember correctly, before it was 23,000?
No.
Or 28,000?
The line item,
It's just something
Do
really.
you have your budget with you?
Yeah, I have. It's, well, I was
So why don't
watching
you
along.
look it up?
I just thought I'd ask a quick question. She
It's
said
a-
ask any question I want.
I
Yeah,
am,
I
but
did.
she's
So I'm
trying
asking
to
them a
find,
question.
but she's trying to find it where you.
Oh,
should be
here, you
looking at.
continue on and I get that from you later. How's that?
okay, I just,
Keep Linda.
so the low, which one are you asking about? The low income tax?
Yeah, how much, the potential.
We
difference from year to
budgeted
year.
last year 24,
I thought, yeah.
or 24,000, it came in at 24,955, and this year we're budgeting 28,000.
28. Lots of room.
So the 42,000 is the bylaw exemption ones, it's all the nonprofits.
Okay,
that have-
that's what I was thinking. Okay, thanks.
So municipal operations, employee benefits, the information technology, which is our IT coordinator, communications, our websites, coastline newsletter, advertising, that type of thing, other general government services, community grants or grants to the villages, and professional services, auditing and legal.
A lot of that.
So protective services, again, would be policing, fire protection, the senior safety coordinator, law enforcement, the transfer that we have to do to corrections, animal control, and we give 15,000 to the TLC and 5, I think, to the Friends of Ferals, dispatch services at the airport, emergency management and business, building inspection services, and fire inspection as well.
It was 500 for the rest of the, right?
500.
Senior
Friends of
safety
Ferals
will
was
change next
5,000.
year. That's what
Friends
costs
of
us a lot
Ferals?
more.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of,
Friends of Ferals was 5,000, isn't it?
no, 500.
Okay, sorry, 500.
It's the other
No.
program that you're thinking of.
Okay, the cat control.
Yes, it's
was
5,000.
Imagine the hassle.
No, we gave 1,500, sorry, we gave 1,500 to Friends of Ferals.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it wasn't 5.
Right,
Definitely
I knew there was a
not.
5 in there
I knew it
somewhere.
wasn't 5,000.
Oh, okay.
So transportation services is all our public works salaries, our road, we pay the province, about $52,000 to look after, for the J-class roads. That's our snow, our sidewalks, snow and ice removal, so I didn't want to talk about snow, so I guess I just dropped off when that came, obviously. Our street lights, our airport expenditures, the purchases of our inventory that we sell at the airport, and this is where public transit, our King's Transit and Transport to Glass. Health, environmental health is wastewater collection and treatment, solid waste, which is the transfer station, the household hazardous waste, the public drop-off, and our collection, plus the interest on the long-term debt that we incurred for the extension of the sewer from Bear River to Smiths Cove. The housing deficit, Western Region housing deficit that we are mandated to cover. Environmental development services includes our planning and development, our economic development network, the Western Regional Enterprise Network, our retainer that we pay, DH Business Services, doctor recruiting, tourism, special projects, and renewable energy, any special projects there. Recreation and culture is Digby Area Recreation, our operating and capital. It's our heritage budget, and which also includes Heritage Church conservation funding, all our regional and local libraries, and then the project, the elder transcripts update is included in Education, enough said. Finances and transfers, so these are transfers to our own funds and agencies, and also the long-term debt on that loan that I mentioned previously is $110,000 a year. And this is, what I've done for this slide is, the example is if you have an assessment of $100,000 and you're connected to sewer, you have a street light, and fire rate, so you would pay $1,660 taxes. So this sort of tells you, of that, of your tax bill, like where does my tax dollars go? So say, for example, education, $275 of that would go to education. Protective services, $498 of that tax bill goes to police and fire. So that's a breakdown, and that's usually what I include in the coastline article. Kind of gives a good general idea of, puts it in perspective, I guess, based on the percentages.
It's not just us taking the
David?
money.
And I think that's the end. The end. So at this time, I would look for a
Jimmy, you have a
motion for the
question?
tax resolution.
A question, I was gonna read the.
Okay, go ahead.
Be it resolved that pursuant to the authority contained in Section 72 of the Municipal Government Act, the Council of the Municipality of the District of Digby hereby adopts a statement of estimates in the amount of $8,109,673 as presented for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2016. Further, be it resolved that a commercial rate pursuant to Section 72(6)(a) of the Municipal Government Act be established at $1.85 per hundred of assessment. A residential and resource rate pursuant to Section 72(6)(b) of the Municipal Government Act be established at $1.30 per $100 of assessment. And further, be it resolved that the following area rates pursuant to Section 75(2) be established for the provision of fire protection, street lighting, and sidewalk maintenance. With sidewalk maintenance, Conway Sidewalk in Mount Pleasant, the area rate of 4.5 cents per hundred of assessment. For street lighting in Weymouth Falls, light rate, Bear River light rate, Digby Neck, Barton, Cloden, Weymouth North, area rate of 8.5 cents per hundred of assessment. Street lighting area rate of Smiths Cove at 8 cents per $100 of assessment. With fire protection, the Digby Neck Fire District, 5 cents. Also for Freeport, Tiverton, Westport, Barton, Brighton, Plimpton, Bear River, and Digby, they're all at 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Smiths Cove Fire District is at 6 cents per $100 of assessment. Weymouth Fire District is at 10 cents per $100 of assessment. And the Southfield Danvers Fire District at 15 cents per $100 of assessment. Further, be it resolved that the municipality excuse me, will bill and collect on behalf of the commissioners for the Village of Weymouth, the Village of Tiverton, the Village of Freeport, and the Village of Westport, an amount as determined by each commission at duly convened meetings. Pursuant to the authority granted by the Municipal Government Act and Policy 2001, Municipal Tax Collection, the Municipal Council hereby sets the interest rate on overdue taxes at the rate of 15% per annum, and an interest rate of 10% per annum be established for overpayment on taxes due to assessment appeals.
You have to read that last part.
Okay, I move the adoption of this.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next, committee of the whole recommendations, there is none. The advisory committees and reports and updates, the Digby Source Water Protection Advisory Committee, Councilor Adams. Heritage Advisory Committee, Councilor Adams.
Heritage Advisory Committee has a sense of their last meeting, but the provincial committee, of which Firestone and, Susan as well, their advisory committee, they've met twice, I think, since the last council meeting. They actually went to Halifax last week, but probably as well, but out to Broadway. So the process is moving, the agenda down, and speaking for all of the
chance we can get copies of those minutes?
For the provincial one,
For both?
what we usually get from.
Yeah. If you would, please, for the next one. Planning Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Counselor Adams, and Tudor, we are actually meeting tomorrow night. We are working on the well field, protection, and hopefully we will finish it tomorrow night. That is the goal. We'll see.
I'm not gonna eat anything dodgy this time. I wasn't gonna pass out. I will. I know, it's tough.
The next is the joint RCMP Advisory Board, Warden Gregory, Counselor Adams, for a meeting on June the 16th. The REMO Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
And no meeting at the last council.
Western Regional Housing Authority, Richard Fitzgerald, there has been no report sent. Regional Joint Committee reports and updates, Age-Friendly Community Planning Committee, Counselor Adams.
I haven't met, but I was wondering whether that should be taken off since funding council comments.
You're talking about the age friendly, sorry.
Should the age-friendly planning committee still be on the agenda, Linda, because it has some funding? What do you think?
Sorry?
The age-friendly, that's still be on the committee,
I think so, because there are,
things that we can do?
yeah, I think we need to, I'm still waiting to see if the town has passed it. So, probably a smaller committee will look at the recommendations in the plan, so that now that the plan's developed, then we can start looking at projects that can come from that, although I know there's funding has been cut for the age-friendly, but, so for now, I'm keeping it on the agendas, just so that we can move the plan along.
The Bay of Fundy Marine Transportation Association, we are waiting to have a meeting, and then I believe at that meeting we will be dispersing. Digby and Area Affordable and Supporting Housing Group, Counselor Tudor.
They didn't meet in May, I can't remember why, but the minutes from April are there.
You didn't meet last week, June?
No,
in May?
No, there was some reason that I can't remember why.
They didn't have the meeting, or you didn't attend?
No, they didn't have a meeting.
Oh, okay. And then there's one coming up in June, isn't there, I saw?
I think they might be canceling them for the next couple of months over the summer. I'll have to get back to you. There was a decision, I got some emails in regards to it. I'll update.
Please. Digby Area Learning Association, Counselor Manzer, we have the March minutes, the CRC April report, the DCEC April report, and the Executive Director's April report.
Nothing major, I guess, other than the, school board has shut down their, the adult learning, whatever section they ran up in, shut down. Hopefully somebody else can pick up the slack.
Yeah. Digby and Area Recreation Commission, Warden Gregory, Counselor Manzer. We met last week. We're waiting to hear how the budgets are going. We have told them that we had passed our budget, but they were waiting on the town, and if that got dropped back, then ours would be dropped back, of course. They have, their summer staff hired. The pool will be opening soon. They mentioned it would be soon. We are going to have a meeting, to meet with the summer staff, at our next meeting. Kara went through, on her report, which, I don't see the last month's reports at all here. No, but I meant from the month before. They have been sent out before. Or did we see the April reports already? We did? Okay, that's all I can remember. So with the, May, as I said, Kara has gone over the different, opportunities that will be going on this summer. David?
Oh, just after this, I did attend the meeting, sorry, I got it mixed up, it's next week, it's next month, that's canceled. So I do have a little report.
We'll go back to you.
Okay.
George George, was there anything else that you wanted to?
Not that I remember. Did you get, did we get the minutes sent in?
Yes, but I didn't send, she was away Friday and the things came out Thursday. And we didn't finish the Wednesday night, so they didn't get in.
Okay.
But I was just asking about the April ones, because I thought we had. The
See,
April
we wouldn't
ones?
get April minutes, we don't get the minutes until they've been approved.
Yeah.
So April
Oh,
minutes would
okay.
have been approved Wednesday night,
Yeah,
so they'd be shown up on
next month.
June's council.
Okay, I'm just checking. Digby, we're gonna go back now to Davis.
Sorry, next month was canceled. Yes, I did attend. I have my notes.
Okay.
They were discussing vacancies within the second floor buildings that are, as we become aware of. I think it was in council we first discovered that. For example, Island Manor, the second floor, there's only a couple people there. The same with the Bear River and other places where they have this. And so if there's like a serious problem with housing, and the local housing stock is not being used because of accessibility issues, that might be low-hanging fruit for providing housing for the elderly, the ill, the poor, any number of things. And Bernadette is going to be talking on behalf of us. I asked her if she would go up and discuss this. Might be something very easy. Like, for example, I tried to get as you guys know, I tried to get what do they call those on the sides of the
Lifts,
chair
chair
lift.
lifts.
Yes, I always seem to forget what that's called. Chair lift, so complicated. Yeah, they said the chairlift wasn't suitable, the one that I was able to locate for a donation. But I've been talking to other people. Maybe there has to be something. So
It's called an elevator.
yeah, there has to be something. Hopefully they'll put that in. That's what I'm hoping. If that won't work, there's got to be something that will work. Or else, why do we have these buildings half full with all these people that need to get in who can't make it up the stairs?
Because if you have elevators and you can take stuff upstairs, you can take
Exactly.
stuff down, the people are safe going up and down.
Yeah. So they're all really good on that, and plus Bernadette's chasing money here, there, and everywhere. She's extremely capable and organized, and she's really open to suggestions from everybody on the group. So hopefully that low-hanging fruit will be plucked. If we have an elevator, well, all of a sudden we're going to have dozens of more rooms for people, and it'll keep people out of Thai View. It'll be good for the province. There's a lot of arguments in regards to the efficiency of that. So hopefully, I'm going to see what Bernadette says when she gets back to us. So that's something I've been pushing there.
Anything else? Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
I got mixed up.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay, you're allowed. None of us get to be perfect, including me. The Digby Area Tourism Association, Councilor Manzer?
Yeah, their new website is up, and they've had quite a few hits on it compared to their old website, at least maybe twice as many in a month's period of time. They'd also like to thank Municipality for the use of their office and Bob's contribution to setting up salt skates and for his participation and stuff like that. Very well, they had a lot of people stop by the booth. And the last day, I think, was they cooked up scallops in the afternoon. And so it's good.
That's great. Thank you. Digby Develop, oh, sorry, yes?
Well, we're on the topic of tourism. I had an idea that I'd like to bring to council. In Halifax on the waterfront, you walk down along the boardwalk, there's different little kiosks and everything set up. Well, there's one there for Cape Breton Island. And they have a tour, they have it set up in the summertime to try to attract the tourists that come to Cape Breton. And with all the struggles we've had to try to encourage people to come here, like if you, the Upper Clements Parks, for example, I think probably 3/4 of the people that go to that park actually come from the HRM or Halifax County region. Is that correct? So I'm just throwing this out for an idea to maybe, if we have a regional meeting with our respective partners, that we couldn't maybe, between Queens County, Shelburne County, Yarmouth County, and Digby County, if the 4 counties got together and had something like that to try to encourage tourists to come out of Halifax to come to Western Nova Scotia, I think it's really something we need to look at. I don't know, I'd like to know how well received the Cape Breton Island kiosk is, and maybe our tourism people have an insight, or they can find that out by talking to some of their colleagues in tourism. I don't know, I'm just throwing
No,
that
I
thought
don't
out.
know either, but I think it's a good idea to get together with some of the other associations and have a presence there on the waterfront.
Well, I'm thinking, you got the cruise ships coming in there year round. Like, there was a cruise ship in Halifax today, for example. Yes. And those people are coming on those ships. A lot of them are coming up from New England. That's not to say they won't go home, and if they find something interesting, that they won't do a road trip or something, or if they get off the cruise ship and rent a car and go for a ride. I don't know. I'm just throwing the thoughts and ideas out. But I think it's too much for one unit to do something like that. But if a region, like if the western part of the province, wanted to pursue it, I think it's something to look at.
Great idea.
Yeah.
It's a really good statistics. 20% of the visitors that come to the province are it's either 18, 16, 20%, something like that. The visitors that come for a first time. So that suggests that 80% of the people that come here have come before. This is from BSE numbers. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. The next is the Digby Development Agency, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine. April minutes are there.
And the DDA met on May the 13th. Some of the things we talked about, well, Dan Harvey's been working with us, and he did a report on a couple of items he's been working on. One was looking at a website design for the DDA, but we've decided with the cost of it and everything that we would wait on seeing what the REN is going to provide, and possibly they'll be able to do that for us. So, and the second piece of work that he was working on was there was a report come out by Ocean Energy's Renewables Association titled Value Proposition for Tidal Energy Development in Nova Scotia. And Dan's going to be, he's going to really digest this report and come back and let us know what all's in it. But basically saying the economic benefits to the province are far greater if the technology is perfected here at an early stage than if we wait for someone else to do it outside of Canada. And he's also stated that this could be as big for us as what the offshore oil is for Newfoundland, if this was to take off the way that everybody envisions it to. So the DDA continues to work on trying to promote Digby in the Digby area for a service center, and that's ongoing.
Vitally important law.
Okay. The next is the Digby Port Association. We met on May 21st, which was Thursday night. We went over, of course, our expenses as usual. We're still doing okay on that. We are attending the Great Kerr Roast. So, just to let you know that. I'm trying to get to where I want to be. All right. What has been happening is, for the first time ever, we did not have our manager of extracurricular activities was not there because, as far as I know, he's all done. I'm using the wrong name of manager, but he knows what I'm talking about.
Project manager?
Project manager, thank you.
Extracurricular activity.
Well, he has to make sure all that stuff gets done.
Sound like recreation.
Well, it's close. The Shot Creek project of voids was completed last week. Filling of the voids in the spur wharf pile face will be completed shortly. Patching of the asphalt and concrete deck will begin after the LMA 34 closes and the weather is more reliable. Repainting of the lines has started. DFO and the CCG have been on site to evaluate if the rocks at the end of the breakwater are capable of supporting a spindle, or if a pipe needs to be buried as a form for a base to the spindle. They have asked for statistics on boats using the harbor. We're looking at for navigation. That's what it's going to be for. Dan Harvey presented a summary of highlights on a possibility of a Digby cold storage. He went over the feasibility study. We had 3 manufacturers bid on hoist installation, and the successful bidder was, strange name, something Recreation. It's weird for a company, because it was called Recreation, and they're a welding company. Just for Kicks. Now, what do you think of a name like that? Anyway, they were Just for Kicks. They were the ones who got it. They were the low bidder. And another fishing vessel has suffered an inverter failure, presumably attributed to poor grounding on the onboard welding equipment on an adjacent vessel. And then, of course, there's a notice runs monthly in the newspaper for the people that are the renters of their spaces to unplug vessels from electrical systems before welding on board. You just can't have both things going. Any questions? I mean, our $7 million was spent, and it was spent well. It was no waste. No, I mean, we did a lot of projects. We did more than what we completed. We were really pleased with our project manager, not extracurricular activity.
Extracurricular guy.
Well, it's close. But no, we were pleased, and I am assuming that he is attending the Greg Kerr dinner as well. I know his name was put down to attend.
Yep, she was.
Actually, a conflict.
Your wife.
My mother.
Oh, okay, that's a compliment. The next is the Digby Library Committee, Deputy Warden McAlpine.
Been no meetings since the last council meeting.
No, we
We
met.
did meet. We had a quick meeting. We have an annual meeting normally, and there really isn't a whole lot to report. The library's going well. We're going to have, I shouldn't say that we don't have nothing to report. We're going to have the bike racks put out, and we're having a seat with a planter built in it that's going to be commissioned and put out in front of the library. We've given up on the idea of the awning because that didn't go anywhere. And it did, but the awning. We've basically if we wanted to spend thousands of dollars on a legal pursuit, we could possibly do something, but it's not worth it. But anyways, other than that,
Signage?
yes, and we're going to
There's
talk
a new
about road
signage.
signage out by the road, so it's more visible to the people in the community. Like there's a little sign out by the road, a provincial sign. It's got everything listed inside the building, but if you're driving by, you're not going to see it. And it's so small, so we're trying to see if we can't get some bigger signage put like where the fence is, right on the corner. Or actually, the other thing we talked about is coming before you get to the road on both sides, having there's a designated sign, like an L or whatever, and have that on like a roadside signage. And so we were going to be looking at that, and Tom from the town was going to see about putting signs on there.
Good. The next is the Digby Municipal Fire Association. Councilor Tudor?
They were talking about dispersal of chemical foam that is particularly effective in putting fires out and dispersing in some areas. They said they were going to send a letter. I didn't see the correspondence from the letter done yet. So maybe I'll send a little reminder email in regards to that, because that's something that should be included in the budget.
The budget's done?
Budget's done.
Yeah, that's sizable. So I guess
And the disbursement is already, we agreed to tonight of $405,000.
and yes, we did send the letter. There you go.
just, you know, maybe you should let them know, there is 405,000 though. It's not like we're not giving.
Yeah, $405,000.
Highway 101 Task Force, we have an upcoming meeting.
It's not been scheduled, but I spoke to the MLA, and he's gonna talk with the engineers in Halifax and see when they're available to come down.
And we want to get out a news release as soon as we have that meeting.
Yeah, I think the safety audit is going to be the topic on the agenda.
Yes. King's Transit Authority, they're actually meeting on Wednesday evening, so nothing to report, and we had King's Transit down to speak to us. Senior Safety Committee, Counselor Tudor and Deputy Warden McAlpine.
The last meeting was canceled.
Oh, okay. Shared Services Committee, Deputy Warden McAlpine, Counselors Adams and Tudor.
There hasn't been a meeting since last council, but we've got one scheduled for coming up the first part of June. And at that meeting, Joe Balzer from the YMCA Immigration Officer is going to be doing a report. We're trying to get a welcoming committee struck and going in the community. So we'll have an update after that meeting.
Okay. Transport Declare, Counselor Manzer.
Yeah, the minutes there from, manager, he hopes the, manager will be, late news, I think.
Okay.
Everything pretty good, but I'm sure.
They must have, okay, and I'm sure they'll be pleased with us agreeing.
Well, I think he had said during his presentation that he wouldn't be coming back the next couple of years, or
Yeah.
next year or two.
Yeah.
With any increase, but after that, he's thinking about moving at like a 1 or 1.5% yearly instead of waiting.
Yeah. Which would be much easier. Timeview Terrace, Counselor Manzer.
I did make a meeting last Wednesday. They switched it up for some reason from the last Wednesday to the one last week. I already had 3 meetings scheduled, so I would think.
Did they discuss that at all when they were changing?
I don't remember.
It works.
You spoke into it for once.
First time ever.
I don't remember the meeting, but the meeting before that, like back in April, maybe we did.
Yeah, you can't be in 2 places at
I will get the minutes and, drop it off.
and Ronnie and I are like,
It'd be nice to have before.
we're not gonna wait,
You
no,
wait
no,
too long closing.
no. It's just, I just got it from Gordon the end of last week, so. Now, next is count,
There's, open spaces committee we have started.
oh gosh, yes, it should be on here. Would you like to report on open spaces?
Oh, no, you.
We've had a couple meetings, I guess, and the last one we, we had some money, we spent some money. We decided to, give each of the, trails, $1,000 a year to help pay their insurance, and, the drug registry, the drug stop.
Thank you.
There is ongoing expenses every year, plus if they need a few timbers to shore up, a walkway with that's not, cover their expenses, if they wanna do it, extension to it. Other than that, is there anything else, Judge? Maybe?
And can I ask who all is on the committee?
No, I think what we're developing is the application for those trail groups so that they can apply. There's gonna be certain conditions they have to meet to qualify for that. No money has been given out or spent. Bob is working with some other groups. He's got other municipalities. Lunenburg is one of the ones that's quite far ahead and has applications for those groups, so they will apply and be able to get. That's one of the first pools of money that we are looking at. The committee's also starting now. Everyone has copies of the full report, so looking at the recommendations and picking out kind of our initial to-do list.
So who all is on the committee? Just, I was thinking there might have been someone else, that's why I was asking. I don't know why. We just have to
So
put.
we'll just add that on to your
Yeah.
list.
Okay, so the next is council reports. And I'm gonna start with Counselor Adams.
At the end of May, I had my district meeting at the Barton School. I had, Staff Sergeant Calhoun and another officer with us. And, it went well. I attended the Cornwallis Battle of the Atlantic Service. And I attended the spring workshop, for the UNSM at White Point. Went to the war room to the open houses for the police week at the RCMP office. Went with the warden to South Range Church to the presentation of the website, focusing on the Collier print, or photographs, right? And it was really well attended. There was a lot of people there, and it was really fun to see people, when they took pictures of it, go, I know who that is, my grandfather is my, and they really enjoyed it. A lot of people actually came waiting to see some of the pictures, and so it was really neat.
My big concern is, it's 20 after 2, and there's like 3 people.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my God, there's gonna be nobody here. I said to Marissa, oh my God, we're 2 of the 3 people that are here. And at 25 after, the room filled over, but I mean, but I'm telling you, at 20 after, there was, I shouldn't say there was only 3. There was, Dave Irvine and his wife.
Committee, yeah.
The committee, but the people that came to visit, there was 3 of us. There was a woman and Ritz and I. And then, like I said, it filled up, and it was wonderful. And she's right. And people, I would actually say that, is that so-and-so? And they'd say, no, that's the brother, or that's the sister. And one of the people, Maxine Marshall, yes. Her picture was there as a little girl with her mother in her apron, and it was really sweet.
Yeah, they were great pictures. It's a great history of Digby County in that era. It's like, it's amazing. That was it, I guess. Me? What?
also attended the Police Week Barbecue Open House. I think it's great to get over and support the RCMP. Last week I attended in Annapolis Royal on behalf of the warden. I attended a federal announcement by our MP Greg Kerr regarding funding that's going to be putting into the Queens Wharf, the habitation in Fort Anne. They're allocating around $3.5 million for that project. I also attended UNSM on the 6th and the 7th. I didn't attend on the 8th, but I attended those 2 days. The session which we spoke about earlier I thought was probably the highlight of the spring workshop regarding Don Mills. And there was also a session put on by the ERDT, Rhonda McDougall, in regards to to deal with economic development by Nova Scotia Business Inc. So
If you wanted gun and shot yourself, you'd have had more enjoyment.
What? See, that's why I stay away from
it was good. I also attended in the past month. I attended a community energy planning session in Acadia, hosted by Quest, which is a group on trying to come up with new energy initiatives for communities, and it's a Canadian-wide initiative. This was their first session. They're going right across Canada with this, so hopefully we'll get the report back when they're done. I had my district meeting last Thursday. We had about 25 people attend. I have a joint, when I go to Bear River, that's where I hosted this one. I have a joint one with the warden, Ritzy from Annapolis County, because he represents that part of the community. And I had Corporal Sean Bolger from RCMP attend, and Don Thomas from Senior Safety, and their counterparts from Annapolis County. They have a new staff sergeant, and he attended. He really appreciated the opportunity to get down and speak to the community. But Don's counterpart, Sharon Elliott, I don't know what happened, but she didn't make it. But Reg also brought in his CAO and his Director of Public Works just to talk about they're trying to do some more sewer work on the Annapolis side of Bear River, so they've got some applications in for funding. So, but one of the highlights that I spoke on, I tried to do an overview, let them know some of the stuff we've been working on, but I also, the Bear River First Impressions Project, gave a highlight on that, and Larry Knox, who's the president of the Board of Trade, he's been working with Rob really closely on this project, so he also spoke on it. But just to give council an update on it, where we are right now, the village center is going to be graded, and Department of Transportation is actually going to grade the parking lot to take the water away from the road and down towards the river. After that is done, then there's going to be a drainage ditch dug filled with clear stone rock to allow the water to run off, and then there's going to be granite stones placed around the perimeter and to protect where there's going to be plants placed. And the kiosk is near completion for the village center, and it's going to be installed in late June. The information panels are going to be installed right after that. The village center welcome sign is near completion, and it's going to be installed in late June. The landscaping and gardening is supposed to be taking place the first week of July. The wall mural, which is going to be on the Cherrybrook store, is going to be installed the first week of July. They've got some beautiful street pennants that they've designed, and I really, Larry had on his computer, he had had copies of every one of the pennants, and it's got the artists, some of their artwork, their name, and it says "Welcome to Bear River" below it, and it's really going to be nice. It's going to really make that community pop right out when this is all put up in place. And then the Artist Studio Trail wayfinding signs, they're going to be installed by the Department of Transportation the first week of July. There again, that's going to be great. There's 16 artists, and it's going to allow people to find out where their studios are. The Village Center benches are going to be installed the second week in July, and hopefully, if the timeline can be met, they're hoping to have a grand opening on the site just prior to or during the Cherry Carnival. So that's what Rob had 18th, yeah. He's got July 17th, 18th here, so I assume it's the 18th.
Great work on there.
Yeah, it's coming along really well. And what else was I going to mention? Also, there's something else. I attended today. I sit on the PBSE, and I was on the Audit and Finance Committee, and we were talking today about it's called Enterprise Risk Management. And at a later date, when I get my head around this a little bit better, I'd like to bring it forward to council to talk to you more about it. Because I think that the whole concept could be incorporated into the municipality as well. It's how you determine your risk, what your comfort level is, and on certain initiatives and everything. So once we do a little bit more work on this, I'll bring the idea forward here.